In living your life on purpose, I think one of the quintessential things is to make faith-led decisions. So today we'll be talking about seeking God for His will for your life. So in dealing with faith, the first thing that we'll talk about is just being surrendered. Um, Ebony and I, when we got married, um, we just got to this apex in our life where we were just tired of living for other people.
Yeah.
So. And I think that's the only way, actually, that you can really hear the voice of God, that you can hear that source speak to you.
Seriously tired.
So prior to Ebony and I getting married, we consistently just basically lived our life for other individuals, for other people, for family members. And two synopses that we'll use. First, I'll use mine, where here I am in high school, I'm a junior, and I'm seeking out resources. I'm seeking out resources, people, because I'm a musician. I'm seeking out resources to find out what's my purpose in life. What's the next step? Once I graduate from high school, what's my next step? So, and I'll be transparent. In hindsight, for a while, because I followed the voices of resources and not following my source first, I really got flustered because here I am doing these things that these individuals told me to do, and I'm not seeing any progress. I'm not being profitable in my life. I'm just going around in circles. This person say do this, I'm doing this. This other person say do this, I'm doing this. And I'm not being profitable in my life. So here I am in this redundant, mundane circle of not living my purpose, not living a fulfilled life. So it's not the fact that these resources were bad.
Right.
They're great people.
Great
It's not
people.
the fact that the information they gave me was wrong.
Right.
The information was great. It's just that I was out of sequence. I should have went to my source first, then went to my resources. So if God validated those people, so to speak, then that information would have been in sync with His purpose.
Exactly.
But because I chose to go things out of chronological order, then their information, their wisdom, it didn't profit me.
Right. So for me, and I think it's really true. I know it's true for Joseph, and I know it's true for other people as well. If I'm really honest with myself, even in high school, I really knew what I wanted to do. The people who know me, they know what I'm talking about. But I think I've always known to some extent. It's just that I think I needed that reassurance.
Right.
So for me, it was my parents. You know, I'm an intelligent young lady, and you know they're pushing me to what they believe that I should do. And obviously, ultimately, really as a child, you know, I am following their leading. Like I'm trusting that they know really what's best for me.
Right. That's good.
And the funny thing is that even though my parents, really more so my mother, I love her dearly, and I have had this conversation with her as well, but ultimately the thing that I figured out was that, especially as a parent, your job is to figure out what the purpose is for your child and to actually groom them and push them in that direction. And for me, like I said, I always knew, but my parents, they, you know, pushed me in another area, and ultimately, obviously, I never saw it. You know, I never saw the fruition of the area in which they were trying to push me. And I tried multiple times to ultimately finish, but every time I would try to finish, the door would just constantly closed in my face. And honestly, I got to a point where I really thought something was wrong with me.
Being totally surrendered to God, you have to be honest and transparent with yourself.
Yeah. So in your transparency and your honesty, really with yourself and with God, what I know to be true is that it costs you something. It will, once you say yes to God, once you tell God, you know what, and you're serious about it, because He knows when you're serious and when you're not serious. Once you seriously sit down before Him and you say, you know what, Lord, I lay down all of my preconceived notions, all of my plans, all of my thoughts. When you tell God literally and you mean it, whatever you say to do, I'll do it.
So once you've prayed and tapped into that source, and God gives you direction, anything you hear from any person, place, or thing should confirm what you already know.
Yes.
It shouldn't be a situation where a family friend, a co-worker say, oh, I think you should do X.
And it's the first time you're hearing it. It should never be the first time you hear it.
It's amazing how scripture takes on a new perspective once you're actually going through something. So scripture that has totally transformed Ebony and I's life is the scripture that says, trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not to your own understanding, but in all your ways acknowledge him, and he
will.
He shall direct your path. So we're going to delineate that scripture. Watch the word. It said trust in the Lord. Not trust in your abilities, not trusting in your family, not trusting in your friends, not trusting in what you want to do. As Ebony has alluded earlier, is giving it to God, allowing him to direct. The next part is with all your heart. Not, I'm going to give God 50%, 73%, 85%, with all, literally, all of your heart.
It's all or nothing.
Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not to your own understanding. It's not going to make sense.
Ever.
If you're supposed to start a business, well, I don't have enough money. It's not going to make sense. Okay, let's say I'm a singer, and everybody tell me I can sing. I'm just like one of the baddest singers in my city. The natural instinct is for me to rely on what I can understand. So what I can understand is I need to make a record. I need to record a record. I need to go on tour. But if I've trusted in the Lord and with no reservation, lean not to my own understanding, but lean to his understanding, I'm not going to understand it. So the Lord may actually have me do something totally different. It's not that my singing ability is not God-given. It's not to say that I'm not supposed to be doing it right this instinct. It's just that if I'm going to follow and trust in God's will, I may not be singing right now. I may be singing 2 years later on down the road. But if I'm going to trust God with all my heart and lean not to my own understanding, who am I to say, well, I can sing. I'm supposed to be singing right now.
And it's your job that when people come to you and they're like, oh, well, Joseph, why aren't you singing? It's your job to literally shut them down. It's your job to say, it's not my time. The Lord has spoken to me and it's not my time. And it's no one else's job to speak to you and tell you otherwise. If the Lord has spoken to you, and if he told you exactly what you need to do, that's what you need to do, regardless of what people around you think. People, they soup your head up or whatever else. It's your job to recognize that God's timing is always perfect.
And a side note is that just as Ebony said, that all these people can say this, that, and the other. I'm going to be very forthcoming. A lot of these people that oftentimes are telling you things, what are they doing? I'm going to just let that sink in, let that pause. In all your ways, acknowledge God. In all your ways, get out of the driver's seat. Let God drive. Who are you supposed to marry? Are you supposed to move to a different city? Any type of business, situation, opportunity, in all your ways, acknowledge him.
And the next part is, and he will direct your path.
He'll direct your paths. Mama don't need to direct your path. Daddy, brother, sister, worker, co-workers do not need to direct your path. He will direct your path.
Which means that he will give you emphatic instructions, okay? So if the Lord gives you instruction, you need to do it. So Today. And we have been those individuals that the Lord speaks to us and he tell us to do something immediately. Oh, we do it. And we have seen the hand of the Lord work in our favor from being obedient. Like, man, if I would not have listened, that would have been me. Like, oh my God.
Thank you for joining us in this faith edition of Life on Purpose. And just rest in what God tells you to do. Lean not to your own understanding. In all your ways, acknowledge him, and he will direct your path. Thank you, and we'll see you next time.